Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Who seeks recognition? The gentlelady from California.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself 10 minutes, and I yield 5 minutes to my friend and colleague from California and my neighbor, Mr. McNerney.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the young men and women who joined the armed forces after 9/11 out of a sense of duty and love for our country are just like my son, Michael, who joined the military because of those terrible attacks. I'm proud and heartened by their commitment to service and patriotism, just as I am proud of my own son's commitment. And I'm concerned about their safety and well-being, just as I was about Michael's when he was in the service. When I talk about supporting our troops, it's not rhetorical, it's personal. And it's with great sadness and steely resolve that I stand up here tonight on the issue of Iraq and the President's plan to escalate that conflict. I'm saddened because the misguided and mismanaged conflict has become a tragic disaster and a genuine threat to Mideast stability and global security. The escalation will cause more violence in the Middle East and will weaken our nation. I'm resolved because it's our duty as the Congress of this great nation to check and balance the power of the President on any issue we believe harmful to this country. This administration insists on finding a military answer rather than changing this failed approach and pursuing diplomatic and political solutions necessary to bring an end to the violence. Unfortunately, the President's plan to escalate the war in Iraq will not bring success there, nor make the United States more secure. In fact, the proposal means a further distraction from the mission in Afghanistan and the need for a tougher, smarter approach to the global war on terrorism. The President's proposal puts more U.S. lives at risk, further stretching the readiness of our ground forces and increasing the drain on our Treasury. President Bush's plan is opposed by military experts, by Republicans and Democrats in both chambers of Congress, and by the vast majority of our country. That's why I rise in strong support of the resolution under consideration in this body. The resolution has two straightforward provisions: continuing support for those American soldiers who have served or are currently serving in Iraq, and disagreeing with the President's plan to escalate the conflict. Supporting our troops is my top priority, not just because it's our duty and responsibility, but because it's personal to me and my family. Recently, the Washington Post reported that the Marine Corps and Army brigades that would be sent to Iraq under the President's plan are short of body armor, vehicles, and other important equipment. That shows just how desperate the President's misguided plan is. Military action should never be executed in desperation. We must transfer the responsibility for establishing and maintaining law and order on the streets of Iraq to the Iraqis. Training those Iraqi units must be done outside of Iraq. This will mean more troops trained more quickly and will lessen the likelihood that Iraqi army and police turn to dangerous militias and death squads. The members of our armed forces who have served in Iraq have done so bravely and honorably. Unfortunately, the President's strategy in Iraq has not matched the commitment with which our troops have served in that country. We must begin a responsible redeployment of our troops out of Iraq on a public timeline that makes sense while pursuing political and diplomatic solutions. Yet the President has steadfastly refused to engage in the political and diplomatic efforts necessary to bring a resolution to the violence in Iraq. Both Republicans and Democrats agree that we need a new direction in Iraq. I will continue to push for that new direction while always putting our troops first. This resolution is an important first step. I stand with resolve in opposing President Bush's plan for an escalation in Iraq.